All right, and we're live. Hey everyone, welcome to Koopa Kast number 51. This is the bi-weekly podcast of PureNintendo.com, your independent source for all things Nintendo. I am your host for Koopa Kast 51, Matt Paxton. I am the multimedia manager here at PNM and PureNintendo.com. I am joined by three other people here. I'm joined by Justin Sharp, who is the head editor of PNM. I have Justin J. Money Hinton, who is a writer/editor at PNM. And then we have Alex Schramke, who is also a writer/editor at PNM. And if you've taken a look at our news posts on the main website, you may have noticed a certain bit of big news that hit via a Japanese 3DS Direct. Nintendo has announced their newest handheld console. Well, we're classifying it as the newest one, but it's not too far off from the Nintendo 3DS. We're calling it the new 3DS, as you can see here above me, new 3DS. And it's going to boast two extra shoulder buttons, a C-stick, and an enhanced CPU. So it's going to be playing stronger games. You may have taken a look. You've seen Xenoblade Chronicles. That's definitely that's originally a Wii game. And so that's a good demonstration of the new 3DS technology. So to talk about this reveal a little bit, we're going to kind of talk about our histories with the 3DS. Well, I mean, they're going to talk about their histories. I'm going to sit here and listen because my money went to broadcast technology and all sorts of neat stuff, and theirs went to a 3DS. So they win this round. But we're going to go ahead and talk about the original 3DS, which released in 2011, all the way up through the all the iterations, 3DS XL, the little second analog stick, and kind of what we think about the new 3DS. So I think who will start with who will start the conversation with their thoughts of the 3DS is the person who bought it first. So who bought it first?
I got mine on launch day.
I did too.
Well, you guys got me beat.
Well, I guess the question, Justin, is what color did you get?
Oh, I got the blue.
Me too.
Aqua
I like the
blue.
blue one over the black one.
Yeah.
Oh man, there were like what 15 games that originally launched with it. It's kind
Yeah.
of slim pickings for a while.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot, and I think Ocarina of Time 3D didn't come out until June, and the 3DS came out in March, I think.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So it was a good wait. I mean, I think I picked up Street Fighter 4 3D Edition, and what else did I get? I picked up a couple other games, but
I know I had a Pilot Wings Resort. And,
yeah.
and the Nintendo Dogs and Cats. I played that one a little bit just for fun.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what I had. I know I had. I didn't pick up the Pilot Wings or Nintendogs, but maybe it's just been Street Fighter and a couple other things. I don't actually own Street Fighter anymore, but.
I kind of miss the Pilot Wings game. I'm feeling nostalgic for that for some reason. I was actually pretty impressed with the 3D flying around Woohoo Island.
Yeah.
It was very cool. I love the free flight mode. That was the best part.
Yeah. Yeah, I played some of Kevin's. I think he picked it up at launch. But one of the other ones I got was the Ghost Recon, the Shadow Wars. I don't know if you guys picked that up. It was kind of one of the kind of the oddballs of the launch. People didn't really pick it up until later on, but people were like, "Hey, this is a pretty, kind of a sleeper hit." It had some good gameplay. It was kind of like Advance Wars, but a little more visually enhanced. But anyways, it kept me tied over till Fire Emblem Awakening. So.
Were any of you like wary of the 3D or concerned that this wasn't going to work until you saw it, or were you guys like thinking, yeah, oh yeah, I mean, glassless 3D, Nintendo's going to knock this out of the park?
I was wary. Because I'm one of the people where I can't play the 3D with the levels very high for very long. Because I get headaches. I'm very sensitive to that. So I was kind of wary because I was like, okay, this is kind of hurting my eyes, and I have to look at it dead on. And so I generally don't play with the 3D on. I'll play for a few minutes just to see what the game is like, but then I turn it off for the duration of the game. So I was wary.
Well, and I was a late adopter. Like, when it first came out, I was like, really? Glasses-free 3D? I don't know. And then I think
that's too cool. No.
I know. And then I think I played one of the demo stations at GameStop or something, and I was like blown away. I was like, wow, this is like seriously cool. And so I pretty much like bugged my wife about it, and then she ended up breaking down and buying me one.
I think what convinced me was when they released Ocarina of Time 3D, and going through that game, it was for some reason I could deal with the 3D better because I think a lot of the background, it was a lot softer. It wasn't as sharp as the foreground, so it didn't hurt my eyes as much. Now, that's one of my biggest complaints with the 3D. But playing that game and just going through a game that I had played so much growing up and then experiencing it in 3D, and it felt like everything was so much more open and expansive, and I was like, okay, now I'm a believer. Once I saw Hyrule Field in 3D, I was like, okay, I can see why. I can see the appeal now. This is awesome.
Yeah, and when I got the 3DS, I had the opportunity to play it the year before at E3, so I wasn't quite as weary. Because as soon as they announced it, I got to play it, so I had like 10 minutes to be wary about it. But because they're like, hey, here's a 3DS, and you can try it out right now. So it was a cool announcement. I remember it was pretty surprising. I was like, it's just kind of crazy. I mean, there had been rumors about it leading up to E3, but it was cool to actually see it in motion. And I have glasses. I don't have the best eyesight. I have very poor eyesight, so I was a little worried that the 3D might, I don't know, do weird things with my glasses, because it's sometimes, like if I watch a 3D movie, I put the 3D glasses over my glasses, and sometimes there's like weird glare and different things, so I wasn't sure how the 3D would react with my glasses, but worked fine, and I can usually handle the full 3D, but it really depends on the game. Like Alex said, Ocarina of Time 3D was really good, and Mario 3D Land had really good 3D, I think. And I like how you could choose if you wanted to do the pop in or the pop out. I thought that was a cool thing. I was kind of hoping more games would do that, where it would give you that option, because I felt like, for eyes that are different, like I'm nearsighted, someone who may be farsighted may like the pop in, or so it would have been nice if that was like consistent across all games. But
well, I kind of wonder how much more development needs to go into a game to do that sort of thing. Like if there's a big difference between the pop in, pop out.
Yeah, I'd imagine you'd have to like develop it like core to the engine, like. I'm sure that's why Mario 3D Land does it, because they're just like, hey, let's make sure the graphics will work, in any sort of, 3D viewing window, whether it's popping out or pushing back in. So yeah, it may take more time than we think, but I really like the implementation in 3D Land.
One thing that I thought I'm kind of glad they added into the new 3DS is the various viewing angles or whatever, because that's like a big issue, especially when you're like really getting into a game, and then all of a sudden it goes fuzzy and you're like, oh no. You like all of a sudden just lose the entire screen and you have to like readjust real fast.
Yeah, and I found it was hard to show people the 3DS because you're like playing a game, right? In order to show them, you almost have to like give them the whole system and have them watch, dead on. You can't have them like, sit next to you and watch you, because it's all blurry.
Well, and even over your shoulder can become a problem.
Yeah, so you just have to be in this, finite area. Um, so I'm really hoping that, it's as wide a viewing angle as they were showing in the direct. It seemed like it was pretty, like you could be, almost like 180 degrees, where the 3D is looking good, wherever you are.
I was actually kind of surprised that, despite the 3D working and despite a lot of people still accepting the 3D, I was kind of surprised that they're still going to continue on with that into the next generation with the new 3DS instead of just saying, well, some people turn off the 3D, so it's not too important anymore, so we're just going to go ahead and revamp it, and it's going to be like a new DS, but without... that sentence sounded way better in my head.
Well, and I think as long as they continue improving it, that they'll keep it in. I think if it gets to a point where, like, okay, we've done as much as we can with the 3D, let's try something else now.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people were probably thinking along those lines, Matt, especially with the 2DS. They're like, well, maybe they're going to give up on 3D with the next version, or some people even speculating, hey, if they're going to give up on the 3D and the 2DS, maybe they'll give up on having the gamepad bundled with the Wii U. People were kind of saying, hey, well, the gamepad's supposed to be the killer feature, and the 3D was supposed to be the killer feature. Now they've gone and done a non-3D version. Maybe they'll do a gamepad-less version, of the Wii U. So I kind of like that they're sticking with the 3D and like that they're improving it, and because it shows. It's still very unique. How many other devices do that? There's a couple cameras out there that have glassesless 3D, but they haven't received wide-scale adoption. So even like phones, like the Kindle or the Amazon Fire Phone has like that parallax thing that it simulates with those cameras on the front.
Right.
Not quite the same thing. So I think it's cool. It's a nice, unique aspect, and maybe it'll eventually be merged into whatever new hybrid system they come out with, or whatever in the future.
I just like as soon as you talked about like the implementing of like 3D in new cameras, and that was the other thing that hit me. That another reason why I'm surprised that it's still the 3DS after all these years is that the 3DS also came at the height of like this 3D trend that happened, where there were 3D televisions and you had to go see movies in 3D. Now you don't see any of that, but we still see the 3DS, and the 3DS is still going strong. Which that's another thing that like the 3DS was definitely like the success story of Nintendo this generation. It started out in the beginning. A lot of people were skeptical of it, and you were like, glassesless 3D, I don't get it, And then all of a sudden, the sales were not the greatest. They were like a little over like 1 million in the beginning, and then they just kind of grew and grew, and then all of a sudden it just went whoop, straight up. And there were just, all of a sudden we have like Nintendo as the #1 handheld console out there.
Yeah, and I think it's that way with Nintendo a lot of the time. Look at the original DS. When they first showed off that weird-looking, first prototype of the DS, like people were like, "What in the world is this?" And
everybody made fun of it.
Yeah, and it was kind of. Even admittedly myself, I was like, "Man, that looks pretty bad. I hope they change it." And sure enough, what was it like 2 or 3 months later? They announced the launch date and also a redesign of it, with the silver look that eventually released. But so I think that's kind of the way with Nintendo stuff. They always have some weird, quirky idea, and people are like, it's weird, whatever. And then, I don't know, for whatever reason, I guess they finally play the games, and they're like, all right, this is cool. I think it kind of took, it definitely took the price drop. The price drop helped for the 3DS, but also Mario Kart and Mario 3D Land, I think, single-handedly helped get the system going. But.
Well, like you guys said, it kind of launched with a pretty weak lineup of games. So I think once they got like Ocarina of Time 3D and some of the other bigger titles out there, people started to say, okay, well, I want to play that and I want to try that. And so people started to kind of pick up the handheld then.
Okay, so I got a question for you guys. How do we feel about the 3DS and the AR technology that it has? I kind of feel like they kind of gave up or kind of ignored it. I feel like it has like potential that just isn't being tapped. So I'm kind of sad that they didn't really talk about anything with the new 3DS and the AR.
My answer to that is I completely forgot about AR until you brought it up.
I'm the only one that cares.
I like the AR stuff a lot. I haven't used it in a while, but yeah, I think they should really take advantage of it. I mean, like I think at the time, didn't the PlayStation Vita, when it came out, it tried to do some AR stuff too.
Yeah, I think there's a couple like AR fighting games or something that came with it, or
Yeah.
you could see. There's a part of me that has this dream that they need to take the Pokemon trading card game and make the backs of them AR cards, so you could bring your 3DS and your Pokemon cards over to a friend's house. Then you could have the little Pokemon on the table while you're doing the card game. That needs to happen.
Yeah, that would be perfect. And think about, I mean, maybe even amiibos. You could somehow, I don't know, get them into the game or something, or use the amiibo on top of the cards, or I don't know. You can.
See, it feels like the amiibo is kind of taking place of the AR.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't understand why they wouldn't release like AR cards with the amiibos. Like bundle an AR card for that character with the amiibo.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of the AR cards, did you guys ever get the new AR cards they came out with last year?
No.
Or was that earlier this year?
I have them on my phone, but I don't actually have like physical ones.
Yeah. Yeah, because they released some game with it, didn't they?
I think there's like a photos with Mario.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like an app or something. I have that on the 3DS there.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an underused feature. Like they used it in Spirit Camera.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Which I thought was pretty unique. It came with like the book that kind of went along with the game, and I thought it was kind of a unique feature for the game. But yeah, we really haven't seen it used much. I really wish they would have kind of invested more time into seeing what they could do with it.
It's like that and Bravely Default. The collector's edition came with playing cards that had the AR stuff, and like each one would have like a short little video that you could watch through the AR of like the different characters or like enemies in the game. So that was kind of nifty, but it's like, we can do better than that.
Yeah. I feel like Nintendo, they have like a lot of ideas at the launch of a system, and they, it's kind of like their peripherals, when they have like the Wii Fit balance board or the Wii Zapper, or it ends up having like 5 or 10 games that use it. So it seems like the AR is kind of the peripheral it's like, hey, it's there if developers want it, cool, they can develop stuff, but not a huge thing. It's just another way we're expanding how people play, I guess.
And that's kind of like the NFC for the Wii U. I honestly think that the Wii U would be in a better place today if they would have had Amiibo ready when Wii U launched. Just to showcase, okay, we have the NFC, this is how you use it, here are our figures. And I think people would have picked up the system more quickly then.
Yeah, because at the very least you would have had a system that was feature complete, or as they touted it, hey, it has this NFC capability, it's not available at launch. They had a couple features where it's like, hey, the Wii U can do all this cool stuff, but it's coming after launch, or so yeah, it would have at least helped with that and made it more unique at the time, having both the gamepad and the NFC going for it.
And not that they would have had very much to show off as far as maybe compatibility with the Amiibos and stuff, but at least it was out there. People could buy the figures, and then when they had games to add the NFC or the Amiibo support to, people would already have the figures. They just go out buy the game.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, hindsight being 2020.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wonder if that Pokemon Rumble for the Wii U was kind of like a test to see if the amiibo thing is something that fans would want, because those were like the first like NFC figures, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the sales figures, but I'm sure those sold like hotcakes because it's Pokemon.
Yeah.
I could probably pull those up real quick. But, I think the lesson point, if it is sell high, I think the lesson to that is if you just put Pokemon in it, it will always sell like hotcakes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What about Pokemon hotcakes?
We're taking that. That's ours.
We're going to the patent office.
Well,
Yeah.
and that kind of got the Pokken tournament thing. Everybody was so let down that it wasn't coming to Wii U or that it wasn't announced to Wii U, and I was like, I don't know that there's a way that they wouldn't try and get that on the Wii U.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have faith.
And I think it's mostly just that at this point. I think they said that it's only like a third complete or something. Like it's barely done. So.
Well, and I don't necessarily know how fighting games work in Japan or anything like that, but people apparently are saying that fighting games like that always release on arcades first, and then console ports come later.
Mm-hmm.
So
arcade scene is very big there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm almost like 90% convinced that this is going to come to the Wii U, and we just have to wait.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine so. I mean, it just makes sense.
And I could see that selling very, very well on the Wii U.
And you know what's crazy? Because remember, that was announced, just a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that just goes to show how crazy the last week has been with, cool Nintendo announcements, because I totally forgot about Pokken Tournament. Because as soon as they announced Mario Kart DLC last week, and then at the end of the week they announced brand new 3DS and Xenoblade coming to 3DS. That tends to overshadow even Pokken Tournament. But and then you've got the Bayonetta 2 Direct tomorrow. So.
Oh, that's right.
Nintendo's calling out all the stops right now.
And I'm kind of cute because we've seen so much Bayonetta 2 already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm when they said it was going to be a Bayonetta 2 Direct, I was like, really? How much more can you say about Bayonetta 2?
Yeah. Well, they did one. Did they do a Wonderful 101 Direct around this same time last year, like a month before release or something?
Yes, they did.
So I wonder if it's just going to be something similar. It's just going to show a lot more gameplay, maybe even show an extra mode that they haven't talked about. I kind of thought last year, I think they revealed the release date in that Direct, whereas they revealed the release date for Bayonetta 2 just in a random press release last week.
Mm-hmm.
So, that kind of steals some of the thunder of what the Direct could have. But maybe there's something else we don't know. Maybe a Bayonetta amiibo character announced, and she's coming to Smash Brothers. I don't know.
That's what everybody's saying. They're like, maybe Bayonetta's going to be in Smash.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just dug up the sales charts for the Pokemon Rumble.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Globally is 1.07 million units. So
that's not bad.
And that's all digital, right? Because there wasn't a physical release, or was there physical in Japan?
They're not counting anything between physical and digital. They're just saying retail. And Japan, they actually sold less in Japan than they did here.
I think it was a digital only, wasn't it? Or
I feel like it was, because I don't remember seeing it on shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was digital only.
Yeah.
The figures were the ones you had to go out and get.
Okay.
I guess it's not bad considering how slow the Wii U was doing when that game launched.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's right. But,
because that launched like about a year ago this month. Was it last August or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
But,
Well, I just find it kind of funny how unpredictable, even just very, very recently, how unpredictable Nintendo's been.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the DLC, everybody was like, wait a second, Link's in Mario Kart now.
Mm-hmm.
It was it's kind of weird that now we're kind of like, okay, what is Nintendo going to do next? We're not quite sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of how it always is, but it's like they take it one step further, like, oh, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't, mix other Nintendo characters inside Mario Kart. It's like we almost make rules for that in our head, like, oh, Nintendo wouldn't have Samus in a Zelda game, and then they do it, and it somehow makes sense, and we're like, oh, okay, defies all logic.
Well played.
Yeah. So, I think that's what makes them most exciting to cover is they're off the wall crazy.
I got you. I'm just gonna pull us back here to just the 3DS.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, two of you were early adopters. One of you was a late adopter. Do you all just have multiple copies of or multiple 3DSs then? Because it started with the 3DS and then it's 3DS XL. Mm-hmm. So do you all have the regular and the XL, or did you trade in your regular for the XL?
It's a good question.
I traded mine in. This is the one that I have right now is the Zelda Edition XL. So this is the third one that I've owned. I'm very upset now that the new 3DS is going to make me buy the other one. Yeah. But I gotta have it because it looks so awesome.
Yep.
I don't think I'm going to trade my XL in though. I'm going to keep the shiny Zelda XL because that thing's awesome. Yeah. So I'm just going to be out $200 or whatever for the new one.
Yeah.
Well,
but
I still have an original. And recently I was like, man, I really want to get a larger one. And then all of a sudden they announced the new one, and I'm like, I am really glad I didn't upgrade to an XL. Because now when they come out with a new XL, I'll just get that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually traded in my original one as well, and that's the first time that I've done that. In the past, I would always just buy every iteration. I had the DS Fat, as they call it, but the original DS, I had the DS Lite, DSi. I didn't actually get the DSi XL. I didn't get that. I skipped that one and then just went to the 3DS. But yeah, I traded in my original 3DS, and I kind of did it before they had the full 3DS transfer down, so I did lose some save files and stuff, which was a bummer, but now that they've got the 3DS transfer mostly ironed out, I think I'll probably just sell my XL. I've got just a red one, so I'll probably sell that one, trade it in for the new one when it comes out.
Can I just say that as awesome as the DS series has been, I always felt that all these iterations of the DS have been their worst trade. It's here's the DS, now here's the 3DS Lite, and here's the DSi, and here's the DS XL. There's 4 different models of DSs, and then it's going again with 3DS. Which I'm not saying that boo on you for not improving on your technology, but it is kind of weird. Just it's kind of not weird. It's kind of disheartening. Just should I get this model or should I wait for them to buy a new model?
Yeah. Yeah, well, and it's crazy because they come out so quickly. Because the 3DS and then the 3DS XL was announced pretty quick, one after the other, and then the 2DS was announced fairly quick after that, maybe within a year, and then now we have the new 3DS. So yeah, it's hard to just say, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this one and I'll be good for a while.
It's funny too how it always surprises us, because if you think about it, they've been doing this since the beginning. Because you had the original Game Boy, then they did the Game Boy Pocket, which I was envious of because I love the black and white screen so much better than the pea soup green. And then they went to the Game Boy Color. Yeah. So they've been doing this since the beginning.
Yeah, and the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Advance SP, and yeah, so.
Game Boy Micro. If anyone remembers that.
Yeah, I think the major difference, especially in our lives today, we have smartphones that come out every year, right? Every year there's a new iPhone or Galaxy or, there's always a new smartphone. And instead of just adding a number on there and just tweaking a couple things, there's actually pretty big speed improvements. They're adding more memory. They're adding some pretty big features. So we've kind of gotten spoiled with expecting these big. It's like, hey, if you're going to update your system every year and a half, it should be a big update. And instead, we get basically the same hardware with a couple little tweaks. So I think that's part of it. People are like, well, this isn't a big upgrade. I'll just wait till their next system, But yeah.
Right.
And I don't know about you guys, but I think that the name is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like new 3DS, I mean, it tells you just in the name that it's new, but
Yeah.
I just think their choice was like, seriously.
Yeah.
New?
Well, and what's interesting, yeah, I mean, but part of me was like, well, maybe they'll go with a different name when it comes out in the U.S., but it seems like that would add to more confusion. They already have the LL and the XL difference between America and Japan, so I don't know, but
I mean, just like when it becomes old, then what do you call it? The old new 3DS?
yeah, yeah, and then
Do you think they were to learn from Apple when they came out with their new iPad?
yeah, yeah, because Apple decided not to do iPad 3, and they just did the new iPad, and then they did Retina iPad, and all sorts of stuff.
It's really awful, and I mean, I feel like this is worse than the Wii U thing that people were on about when the Wii U launched. Because I mean, with at least between the Wii and the Wii U, I mean, if you take more than 5 seconds to look at the different consoles, yeah, you can notice that there's a difference there. But if you looked at you'd have to spend a few moments looking at the 3DS and the new 3DS to find a difference between the two.
Yeah, well, I think I almost think it's better than the Wii U, mostly for the opposite reasons that you said. Because I feel like if people hear the name new 3DS, they think it's a new system whereas Wii U right now, whether or not they see the box, most people aren't seeing the box. They're just hearing the name Wii U and they're like, oh, that must be an add-on for the Wii, right? But I feel like if you hear the name new 3DS, I feel like it does more than the Wii U name did, just by name only. But yeah, I agree. If they see the box, it's pretty easy to tell the Wii U is a new system, a new controller, versus the differences between the 3DS and the new one. But
well, I don't understand why they didn't just harken back to their past and call it the Super 3DS.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. Super 3DS all the way. In fact, I think we should start calling it the Super 3DS right now.
Hey, that's actually not that bad because the buttons have the Super Famicom coloring on it. So.
Well, and that's what a lot of fans have been saying, is that they did it for the buttons, and it just makes sense because that's what they did with the original Nintendo system. So just why don't they do that with the 3DS? Just call it a Super Nintendo 3DS.
I'm totally down with that.
Yeah.
Let's start a petition.
And really, I mean, there's no reason they couldn't change the name between now and when it comes out in America. They could call it that, but I don't know.
Yeah, because they really need to do everything they can to emphasize the difference between between the current 3DS and the new 3DS. Because the new 3DS isn't just aesthetic changes; it's that new CPU that's going to make all the difference. You can't play that upcoming Xenoblade Chronicles on your old 3DS. You can only play it on the new one. And we're probably going to see a lot of games follow that suit.
Yeah. And I imagine, like, Pokemon X and Y, when you play the game in 3D, the frame rate stutters quite a bit. I'm hoping, like, current games will actually benefit from just playing it on the new one. And I should think that would be pretty easy, if it is really, like, more memory or just a faster CPU or, whatever it is. They haven't, given us the whole full detailed specs. But it seems like if you were playing an old game on there, you would still get the benefit of some of that in the frame rate at least. So.
Although I am disappointed that it's going to be region locked.
Yeah, I know. Because I would be importing that thing next month.
Oh yeah.
Is it going to be region locked? Because I thought there were rumors going around that it could possibly be region free.
Yeah, well, today I think GameSpot
Yeah, it was GameSpot that.
they got like an official quote from Nintendo that said it's region locked. So
Gotcha. I just missed that piece of news. So.
uh, um, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think a lot of people were holding out hope that hey, it's the new Nintendo. They're doing all this cool new stuff. Maybe just maybe they'll give up region locking, but it still sort of makes sense since it's part of the 3DS family. Um, to keep with the region locking. It seems like if they were going to get rid of region locking, they would do it with the next handheld iteration or the next console iteration. Because kind of like mid-cycle like this, it would look a little weird.
Well, and I don't. The policy has been around for so long that I don't see them giving up on it really anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
I know the industry is kind of heading in a region-free direction, but I think Nintendo is going to take a while to kind of come around and say, okay, we're going to start releasing ours region-free. Like you're saying, it might take a whole nother console generation to really spur something like that.
Yeah.
I definitely think they should adapt it though, especially if they're going with the whole we want to cater back to hardcore gamers.
Mm-hmm.
That's something hardcore gamers really want.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to have the option to say this game looks really, really cool, but it's only going to be in Europe or Japan. I want the option to import it over. Because most of the games, even if there's a language barrier, they're made in such a way where you can navigate using like the pictures, you can still follow what's going on and still get a good experience from it.
Even games like, for instance, on the Wii, the Disaster Day of Crisis game, that's a game I really wanted to play, but it was a European game. I had a North American Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
Or not Wii U, I'm sorry, Wii. So there wasn't anything I could really do about it. But
yeah, I'm hoping they do get rid of it, but I could see it happening with the next systems rather than the 3DS update.
Fair enough. We'll just hold out hope.
Yeah, hopefully they'll see the light.
Now, you said something interesting a while ago. You said, talking about mid-generation. So are we not considering this new 3DS, like, the next generation for that handheld hardware, or are we just going to consider it a continuation of the current 3DS?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely just a current continuation, especially with the minor speed increase. And sure, some people may say, "Oh, well, it has Xenoblade, which is only compatible with it. So there you go. It's a new system. It can only play these games." But look at the DSi. The DSi had plenty of DSi exclusive stuff that was exclusive to the camera or the downloadable features of the DSi. So, I feel like it's that kind of exclusivity. It's not a whole new system, whole new architecture, whole new CPU, whole new graphics chip. So, in that sense, I would say it's still a part of the 3DS, and that Nintendo still has a new handheld in development that is the next gen one or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody was going to say something. Who was it?
I was gonna say I would look at it as the Game Boy Color of the 3DS family. It's a huge improvement from what we currently have, but it's still within the same family.
Mm-hmm.
That, and if it truly was like a new system, they wouldn't have just done like a direct about it. They would have saved it for E3 or some big venue, where everyone's got their eyes on them.
Yeah, because that's when they reveal the major handhelds. You look at the 2DS, you look at the 3DS XL, and this new 3DS. They've all been revealed either in a press release or a Nintendo Direct. So just something, just kind of, hey, here's the next iteration. I mean, look at the 2DS last year. That was announced like out of nowhere. So yeah, I would see whatever their next handheld is. It'll be some sort of a big lead up to E3. The rumors will start going, and then they'll be like, "Yep, we'll announce our plans at E3 and have some big reveal."
I think J Money has a good idea of what it's going to be.
I'm going to stand firm next to what my kind of speculation of the whole deal is.
Yeah, and I thought you explained it well in the comments because someone was asking, they're like, "Oh, I don't think it's going to be one system," and you kind of clarified and said, "Well, I think it'll probably, have like the same operating system, so they can port games, have games on the handheld and the console, but maybe have like a handheld on the go and then some sort of a hub console or something that it pairs up to." So.
I think, as I said in my most recent editorials, I think Nintendo is going to close the gap between the differentiation between a home and a handheld console.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to be considered one gaming console. You'll have two separate units, but it'll act as one.
Yeah, when they release a game for the console, you can get it on the handheld and play it there. And so if people only had the handheld and didn't have the home device or whatever, they could still enjoy all the new games.
If I had to say one thing about your article though, J Money, and it's the only problem I had, which was it did not seem to properly convey the excitement that you have for this concept that you're predicting. Console.
Well, I tried to get that kind of at the end because, I mean, right now Nintendo is spreading their profits across two separate consoles. You have the handheld division, and people love the handhelds. Then you have the console, and some people prefer consoles. Now, if you were to take both of those sales figures and combine them into one, you're creating your profits from one console rather than trying to separate them between two. You get lower manufacturing costs. There's a lot of benefits financially that Nintendo could see from something like this.
And you could potentially do half the work. If you're making, let's say, a virtual console release for the 3DS like they're doing right now, they have to port it over to the Wii U, and they're like, hey, here's Super Street Fighter for Wii U, and you can also get it for the 3DS Virtual Console. By the way, it's $5 for the Wii U, $5 for the 3DS. Whereas if it's one architecture, one operating system that the handheld and the console are sharing, you buy it once and it's available on both of them, and it makes it easy for Nintendo too because they're not spending that extra work of porting it to the other system. So.
And really, for that editorial, I really wasn't looking to start a hype train or to get people excited, but more or less to just kind of point out the similarities between this new 3DS and the Wii U and the marketing that they're kind of going with the, because the branding for the new 3DS is exactly the same as Amiibo. And to me, the only reason that they would do that is if they were trying to bring the 3DS and kind of meld it in with the Wii U and Amiibo and this whole direction they're going.
Just gonna get a last quick poll out of you guys to round out the end of this Koopa Kast. Are you all immediately gonna go out and buy this new 3DS? I know it's really early into this, but I figured, hey, let's figure it out now. Are you guys super excited, or are you guys you need to see more before you're completely convinced?
Well, considering that when I was at GameStop today, I asked if they were going to start accepting pre-orders, my answer is pretty obvious. I'm going to be an early adopter.
Yeah.
Alex is already on the hype train.
I'm already on the hype train. I'm a big handheld gamer. I've always been. 9 times out of 10, if there's a handheld port of a console game, I'll buy the port even if I have the console version because I know I'll finish it on my 3DS because I'd rather just pick that up and play it. I'm weird, but I love my handhelds, so I'll go. I'll follow where Nintendo goes.
Same here. I'm super excited, and I'll probably just buy it right off the bat. That way, I can do the transfer of my data and then sell the regular XL later.
I'm going to have to save up because I know I'm not going to have enough money when it comes out. So I may not be day one, but hopefully I'll have it shortly after.
Yeah.
But I do have a question for our host. Are you going to buy a new 3DS?
Yeah.
Let me think about that. I think I'm in the same camp as you, J Money. Is like I just need that kind of. I need that coin coming in. Enough coin for me to actually buy one. Or I might just I might buy a mixer or some other awesome audio visual thing that I need.
We'll all have to get together as a staff and like gift you one or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you're the only one without a 3DS.
Yep, I am the only one without a 3DS.
I'd give you my XL, but it's the awesome Zelda one, so I have to keep it. So sorry.
Now, here's a question, Matt. If you did have the funds for it, do you feel like there's enough games on the system that you would be like, oh yeah, I'd love to own it?
Absolutely. I mean, there are no two ways about it. Like every once in a while, we get emails from Justin, like, "Oh, who wants to review this?" I'm like, "Oh, can't."
Yeah.
Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright was like the one that got me closest to breaking down and buying the movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to review.
Well, I told Justin, why don't you have Matt do it? And then I was like, wait a second. He's the one who doesn't have a 3DS, right?
Yeah. And it was weird because there was someone else that didn't have a Wii U for a while, so I was like, oh, can't get any Wii U codes. I mean, it was Trevor. Trevor didn't have a Wii U for a while, right?
Trevor didn't, and then Tristan didn't after he moved.
Yeah. So.
Oh, and then I think Thomas Jones didn't have one.
Yeah, that's right. But they've all seen the light now.
I've seen the light, but the light's too expensive. But I guess that'll be it for our 3DS cast of our Koopa Kast, Koopa Kast episode 51. I want to thank everybody for listening in to this Pure Nintendo podcast. If you have any questions for us, you can email us at podcast@purenintendo.com. You can also follow us via Twitter. We each have our own Twitter handles. They are listed up on our site under the staff page. I want to thank Justin, J Money, and Alex for joining me and talking about the new 3DS and the old 3DS. And we'll see you again 2 weeks from now. So see you all later.
Yeah.
Take it easy.